JB here, JB here, September 18, 2024. Welcome to Fed Day. 8:58 here. Got about 32 minutes to open. Just talk really quick about the Fed today, some of the names I'm looking at, and go from there. We'll take a look at a SPY close right at that 563 handle that I was talking about. I was on a rant yesterday afternoon, and we were down about 562, and we got that last little pump at the end of the day to get it to 563. But probably nothing matters where we were yesterday after what happens today. And so at 2 o'clock, we have the Fed meeting. And right now it's a 1.6 or 1.7% implied move on the SPY, which is a pretty large swing, I guess. But to put in perspective, last Monday when we had that reversal, that was a 2.7% swing. So not too big, but of course, if we do get some kind of reversal, it'll be pretty large. Uh, so some of the scenarios that are playing out, and if you look last week, there was, I don't know, it was 40% probability of a 0.5% rate cut. Now it's up to 63%. You go back last month, it was like 10% probability of a 0.5% rate cut. And it's funny how things got ratcheted up. The thing is, or the issue was that the last Fed meeting was at the end of July. Then we had the July jobs report at the start of August, and we had that big pull with the Nikkei and the yen carry trade and all that BS that went on. We had the bounce. And then we had some other data came out, so the Fed hasn't really had time to react. So if you think maybe if the meeting was in August, we would have had a quarter rate cut, and then if there was another one in September, whatever, another quarter rate. But almost trying to play, I guess they might try to play a little catch up. I prefer to have a 0.25% rate cut today, and then they still have ammo to accelerate and be more aggressive as the months go on. But that's probably not going to happen. So I think even if it's in line, so if it's a 0.5% rate cut, the market's gonna be volatile. You're gonna have swings. The SPY might be trading 564. We might go down to 559. We might bounce back up to 560. It's always gonna be for. Uh, sorry, Z is making me laugh here. So every Fed day or most Fed days, there's always volatility, and then a lot of volatility is going to happen at the 2:30 hour. Fed Chair Powell is going to try and paint this picture of, you know, what the Fed's looking to do, their pace, the timing, and that'll probably be more important than what's going to happen today. And I wouldn't rule out, and I put on the watch list this morning, I wouldn't rule out a sell in the news event. No, for no other reason than that's just what's going to happen. So, uh, I'm an optimist. Right? I'd love to see the market hold, break new highs, and then set the SPY to get over 570 or so to end the week. That'd be my ideal outcome. But I'm certainly not ruling out a scenario where that 555 handle on the SPY, which was solid resistance on the way up, then support. If that breaks, yeah, then the 50-day moving average on the SPY is down at 550. It'd be a 2%, 2.5% down day. I not ruling that out. So I'm got to be open to certain scenarios. Otherwise, you get caught with your pants down, and it will not be a fun afternoon. So that's kind of the things I'm looking at today. But certainly, you'll see right at the 2 o'clock hour, you'll see spreads on the options and even on the SPY, the market. You'll see bid and ask spreading pretty wide as the news comes out, and then you're going to get the wild swings in the market. It's just going to happen. So that's that, and I'll be back on the audio. I'll try and get on during the statement and then possibly the presser. Take a look at the IWM. Even with the pull yesterday on the SPY and the Nasdaq, the small caps were up over 1%. So, of course, I keep saying my ideal scenarios, even if the market stays flat, that small caps can rally and start to outperform. I was looking at the biotechs. The IBB is finally starting to break to new highs. So today could be the day that pushes it over the edge and really starts to get going. All right, so that's overall markets. Individual names, you're not going to talk too much about some of these, but Redfin was 1454 on Monday was the high, 1467 yesterday. I think it was 1447 on Friday. So obviously that area, huge wall, if that can get through the highs from at least yesterday, 15 is the kicker. So if it gets over 15, I'll add more strikes. And then 1763 are the next two levels I'm looking at. Still have the January strikes. Premiums are still holding up very nicely on those. So not going to talk too much about Redfin, but my thought on the housing market. I think housing starts came out. Existing home sales, was it 4 weeks in a row? Or no, was it mortgage? Oh, housing starts up 9.6% for 4 months in a row. So I mean, it's all pointing, especially with now we're in a rate cut cycle. It's just the pent-up demand and pent-up supply is just going to just be a boom for names like Redfin and even Zillow, but I prefer Redfin down here. So that's that. Clear Secure, I put on the watch list this morning. Take a look. The tight Bollinger Band setup, it's breaking out, broke that 32 handle, hitting highs it hasn't seen since February of 2023. If it gets, I think it's 32.63. If it breaks that handle today, then you're talking multi-year highs. I think it goes back to 2021. A huge put spread came out right at the close. There was like 5,000 contracts on the October 27 and 28 puts, something like that. So I don't know if that's just someone, because it's short. Clear Secure has a huge short interest, so people always either selling premium or doing things like that to protect themselves. I don't know if that's something uh, that someone did to protect themselves. I don't know, but certainly something I was watching. But was able to lock the last my September calls in for a little over 100% yesterday, and then went and got those October strikes. If I talk about tight Bollinger Bands a lot, but we haven't had a lot of these breakouts recently. But here's a name that you have a tug of war, and the tight Bollinger Bands almost symbolize the battle between the Bulls and the Bears. And once one side wins, you have a large outsized move. Love Clear Secure 34, possibly 36 in the coming weeks. I added some aligned calls yesterday. I talked about this one on the watch list since Monday. It always seems like this has this buyback move where it's one of whoever's in charge of doing the buybacks hits the button and the stock just goes nuts for no news, no catalyst, just more buyers and sellers. Obviously, when you have the stock being purchased by the company, there's going to be more buyers and sellers. I was looking for weekly strikes. Premium's too expensive. Went and got the October calls. I'll continue to hold those pending any shenanigans today. In 2 o'clock, if we have this huge move, and then 2:30 and so on and so forth. If the market really starts to tumble, then certainly I'll start looking to pull ripcords on some of these names. But real like the line, look, the 200-day moving average is 267. I think it heads to 270 in the next week or two. If that happens, my calls will be up quite a bit, and I'll be able to lock some or all in to cover costs and maybe ride the rest. The only issue is they have earnings, and earnings is going to be October, but typically I looked back, the dates are at the end of October. October 18th is the expiration for the October strikes. So we get some luck where the company comes out and announces their earnings date within October 18th. Before that date or on that date, that the premiums will skyrocket. So that's kind of an added wild card there for the calls. All right, that's the line. Turns up 2 days in a row. It's over $10 here in the pre-market. It was over $10 yesterday, gave it back, closed at 963. If it holds 10 today, maybe into the afternoon, I'll look for more strikes there. The only unfortunate thing with Turn is they don't have November strikes. So I just maybe I'll email the CBOE and try and get some November strikes. And then the spreads on the Octobers are tough. So I don't want to go into January just yet. But that probably, if I do add another strike, it'll be also in October. Roku, of course, in hindsight, I should have held my September strikes, but actually I did pretty well on those last week. I'm still looking to get some strikes to play for a move over 80. Huge call volume on the 79 strikes yesterday. I think 15,000 contracts were added to the open interest that expire on Friday. And then sure enough, what happens this morning, you have upgrades. JP Morgan came out, upgraded the stock gave it a $90 price target. And then you had Needham, who, she's always been bullish on Roku. She just reiterated her $100 price target. Probably, if the market tumbles in the afternoon, it won't matter, these upgrades. But this could be the day that it finally breaks through. It's right at its levels it was at yesterday at the open. I almost looked to get the strikes at the open, and I passed. Maybe if it breaks to yesterday's highs, I'll look to get some speculative calls, maybe the 79s or the 80s. And then last but not least, VKTX. I don't want to talk too much about this, but it seems like every week it's the same, or every couple of weeks it's the same kind of setup. It rallies, gets the hopes up that it's going to break 70, and then we just have this pullback, closed down 6% yesterday. No news, no catalyst. At the end of the week, if it's not over 70, I'll add the October strikes. If it breaks 70, I might not only get October strikes, but get some spec calls to play for a move to the upside. And I think that's it. I'm out of breath. I'll be back on audio earlier in the afternoon, maybe 1:30 or even closer to 2 o'clock for the Fed. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.